Toastmasters and leaders, please welcome Matt.avi with his speech entitled There Once Was a Woman Who Lived in a Shoe. There once was a woman who lived in a shoe. Matt.avi.
There once was a woman who lived in a shoe. She'd so many children, she didn't know what to do. She fed them a meal of broth and no bread, then whipped them all soundly and sent them to bed. Now, if you like children, then like me, you'll probably find that old rhyme rather disturbing. But fellow Toastmasters, tonight I'm going to raise a disturbing subject. I'm going to talk about mankind's over-fondness for producing lots of children, and I'm going to tell you why I think we are setting up generations of children to come for grueling, undeserved punishments far worse than those poor kids who lived in that shoe. Now, I'm talking about a problem that the governments of our earth avoid like the plague. I'm talking about a problem that, even though it is the main cause for our environmental crisis, environmental groups choose to ignore it too. And I'm talking, of course, about the subject of rampant overpopulation of this earth and the problems that it's going to cause. Now, I just want to give you a quote from one of my heroes, a man who has done more for children and indeed humanity than most of us would ever do in our lifetimes. A man by the name of Jonas Salk. Jonas Salk was a virologist, and his gift to the earth was a miracle in its day. It was, well, it still is a miracle, it was the cure for polio, or the vaccine against polio. And Jonas Salk had this to say about life on earth and humanity. He said, "The interesting thing about insects is that if we were to take all insect life away from this earth, in 50 years, all life would cease to exist. All life. The interesting thing, on the other hand, about humans is that if we were to take all human life from the earth, then all other life forms would flourish." Now, I'm sure that most of us here would admit that we humans are having something of an impact on the earth. We are causing a few problems with the environment. But I was absolutely staggered to learn that some scientists, geologists in particular, are now referring to this age of mankind as the sixth great extinction of species. The sixth great extinction. That's quite something, isn't it? So in other words, there's evidence now to support that our impact on this earth is as much as that meteorite that came down and wiped out the dinosaurs all those years ago. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? Yeah. We're losing 30,000 species a year. 30,000. And we're so good at wiping out species that in the last 30 years, we've wiped out 25% of all the wildlife that existed on this earth. In 30 years. Blink of an eye. And in fact, scientists now are worrying that we are killing off our bees. They're really worried that the number of bees are declining so rapidly. Now, bees obviously we depend on for pollinating our crops. And so if I can paraphrase Jonas Salk, where would we be without the bees? So what's my point? What's this got to do with overpopulation? Well, I am amazed that governments and environmental agencies are so keen to label our impact on the earth as climate change. They believe, and they would have us all believe, that the one thing that's going to solve everything is clean fuel. And that is absolute poppycock. Climate change is only a symptom. And if you think about it, all the problems that we're having, water stress, loss of biodiversity, loss of habitat, toxicity, toxification of the earth, of the air, of the water. All this is a result of too many people fighting for too few resources and in the process destroying our precious habitat. Clean fuel is not going to help. The only thing that's going to help is a reduction in our population. So why don't we hear more about this? Well, the main reason is that environmental activists feel that imposing population control, if you like, would be an infringement of human rights. But what would happen if we continue to ignore this problem? Well, I could tell you a story. I could tell you a story about an old man sitting with a small child leafing through pictures of animals. That's a tiger, that's a cheetah, that's an anaconda. Did you ever see one of those alive, Grandad? And will they ever come back? But that's perhaps just being sentimental. But what about this? We are breeding so fast and chomping our way through the Earth's resources that scientists tell us that in 30 years' time, we are going to need 2 planets to sustain the children of this Earth. So in other words, for every meagre bowl of genetically modified rice, there are going to be 2 people competing for it. For every glass of chemical-tainted water, there are going to be 2 people competing for it. And that is going to mean a lot of hungry, starving, diseased, dying children. I just want to leave you with one thought. When cells reproduce in an uncontrolled manner inside a body, we call that cancer. If this Earth is a living body, and we refuse to recognise any law that says that we should regulate our reproduction, what does that make us? Do we really want the children of this Earth to suffer a worse fate than those poor, whipped, hungry kids in that sheep?